play. And another foul on board. His third for setting a screen.
Because of physical play, although Jordan Taylor just got caught with a moving screen.
Pick and roll. And a foul, offensive foul coming up. Ken Valentine standing right there.
Izzo dying for a moving screen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Moving Screen Podcast. I'm Brendan Quinn of The Athletic. I'm here with Dylan Burkhart of umhoops.com. Today is June 12th, and what else would we do? What else would we rather do than talk Big Ten hoops?
For me, that's the truth. But for you, I'm sure you want to talk about golf and whatever else out there at Pebble Beach.
Yeah. I am at a hotel in downtown Monterey. Living the hard life here, covering some golf. 2019 U.S. Open. Should be quite a scene. Pebble Beach is, it's so ridiculous that it's hard to even describe it with any validity. Is that the right word?
That's what they're paying you the big bucks for, man.
I don't know. It's unreal, man. It is unreal. The views, the whole place is just it's overwhelmingly nice. It's one of those. I said to another writer that it's like, for me personally, at least walking around there, I'm like, I don't belong here. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is ridiculous. So yeah, man, it's pretty sweet. How about you, man? How's Cleveland?
Cleveland is nice. It is not Pebble Beach, but the real question everyone wants to know is who's going to win this weekend. You got any picks for the people? We gave out Masters picks before.
I do. Dude, I forget how the Masters picks went.
I think I threw out Koepka, and you said it was a terrible pick. And then he finished second.
I did pick Koepka for the PGA. You won that.
Okay. So who are your winners?
I think right now it's irresponsible to not. Like, if you're putting money down or if you're in a pool, it's irresponsible to not take Koepka. He's won 4 of the last 7, so you have to just take Koepka, right? That's obvious.
All right, who's someone with a little bit of odds to him?
So take out Koepka, take out Tiger. I picked them in my pool, but the other guys that I have circled are Webb Simpson. I like the way that he has been playing. Not only well, but consistently. I don't think he's a guy. I don't know if he's a guy who wins it.
He's a good DraftKings play.
He's a good DraftKings play. Top 10 guy. I like Tommy Fleetwood a lot. I feel like people kind of forget about him, and his game is like perfectly made for U.S. Open golf. Because you have to realize these guys, most of these guys are only going to be hitting driver 4 to 6 times per round out here. It's going to be, the guys whose iron play is just locked in and they are making putts will be the guys who are there on Sunday. So, Snedeker, I like as maybe a long shot, top 10 type guy. Not long shot, but
he's won a couple times there, right?
Snedeker, yeah.
Got three winners for you.
Yeah.
Rahm, Rose, Thomas.
Don't like Rose. His game is not on right now.
It's always got to start somewhere.
Why do you like Rose?
I don't. He's my third pick. I like Thomas to win. He's been hurt, coming back, played well last week. No one's thinking about him.
Yeah. I was out there for a little bit of his practice round today.
How's his wrist look?
I don't know. Looks a little
not great.
Looks a little shaky.
I feel better about my picks the more that you downplay them, so that's good.
It's fair. It's fair. So, I mean, Rose, he missed the cut. And since I picked him in the Masters and he missed the cut, I'm done with Rose until he's back.
That's when you're gonna miss when he returns. That's what's happening here.
Nah, all good. All right. So today we wanted to just kind of give a little off-season overview of the league itself. We've been focusing so much on the comings and goings, mainly one big going outside or at Michigan. But we just kind of wanted to almost hit reset here and look at the conference. We're going to use Bartorvik. Did you say Bartorvik.com?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. His rankings or projections, I should say, for the conference. And we're basically just going to go with, up or down, whether we think that each team is slotted correctly, or if we would push them one way or another. So, anyone who needs a fix of some summer hoop, here you go. We're going to start with the boys in East Lansing, of course. Michigan State will be widely considered not only the Big Ten preseason favorite, but the preseason number one team in the country. Rightly so. I'm not sure,
So a couple,
sure how much we need to break this down. They're going to be pretty damn good.
Saw a couple top 25s coming out today that had Kansas number one.
Really?
Jeff Goodman.
Wow.
Michigan State, though, obviously, do you think when was the last time there was this strong of a consensus favorite in the Big Ten?
Oh, man. I mean, do you have to go all the way back to those Ohio State teams? The Greg Oden group?
Maybe Wisconsin was really good in
Yeah.
2015, where they were projected to be that good also, right? Like they were probably up there.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably a good starting point there. Indiana going back to like the Zeller years, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just think when you look at Michigan State, what stands out is that I'm not really sure. There's a bunch of teams that could be number two in the league, and it's really more like there's like a tier between them almost, right? Like I'm not sure I see a team that really has the pieces to contend with Michigan State, at least on paper right now. And teams always are better than you expect and this and that, but they're just kind of head and shoulders against the rest, I'd say.
Yeah, in everything. And checking all the boxes, right? It's the guard play, returning guys, coaching, experience, everything. This is a team that knows what it's like to get there. And that's a big deal. I mean, obviously, it starts with Cassius Winston. He's the best player in the league. That's not even like what is closer, the rest of the league to Michigan State, or trying to find the second best player in the league compared to Cassius Winston?
Who is the second best player in the league? I don't even know. I mean, I would say that Winston's further ahead of the pack than what you're going to say, like Lamar Stevens?
I agree with you. Like, Cassius Winston is so comically far and ahead. Somewhere Xavier Simpson's listening and getting all riled up, but Cassius is so comically far ahead of everyone else. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know who you'd even look to and say they have a great chance, really. Everyone basically is moved on. Anthony Cowan, maybe.
Cowan would probably be where the conversation starts.
Yeah, I don't know. That kind of just speaks to, I guess, what is the top level talent in the league. There's some teams that look like they're going to be really good, and we'll talk about them, but I don't know if they're going to have the tools to be like top 5, 6, 7 in the country good, right? Like,
right.
That'll be interesting as we kind of siphon through the rest of the teams.
Right, and like another thing to think about as we go through all these teams is like how many NBA players are in the Big Ten next year? It ain't that many.
That's kind of the constant problem with the Big Ten, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look in, like a 2020 mock, who's in the AO? I guess he's a guy who I would say has the potential to be like has some sort of huge breakout year. Jalen Smith is a pro. So there are a couple guys like that, but man, you're not looking at the incoming. There's some good players incoming, but you're not looking at them to say, oh, well, they're one and done. They're pro. Like Romeo Langford last year. There's not really those sort of types, I don't think.
Yeah, and the Big Ten never has them. I mean, you can go. You look at the power conferences by how many McDonald's All-Americans go into the leagues each year. Big Ten is constantly at the bottom.
Yep.
So, all right, number 2 on Bartorvik is Purdue. Despite losing, for the second year in a row, losing significant pieces. Yeah,
this is one of those where I'm not sure. You can do it once maybe, but can you pull off the same trick again? They lose Ryan Klein, Carson Edwards, and Grady Eifert. That's 281 made threes.
Holy, wow.
Everyone else that comes back, guess how many threes they made combined?
I will guess, man, there's not a lot. It's 42.
30.
Wow.
They were 30 of 128.
Wow.
That's 23%. That is not great. And I'm not sure what they're really going to build. I know they bring in the grad transfer, Jihad Proctor, who is a volume scorer, shooter. He'll get a lot of shots because I don't really know that they have someone else. But, man, how are you going to replace all that shooting? I mean, they shot a lot of threes last year, and it was just those 3 guys that made all of them. I think you have to say that they're going to finish somewhere below second in the league this year. I just can't see it.
Second seems high. This year will be super interesting because there's always been the conversation of Carson Edwards, and obviously an All-American and blah 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 blah. But there were times last year where I know that I would watch that team and be like, man, for as good as he is, there's just times that I don't know if detriment is probably too strong of a word, but like the amount of just possessions that would just be thrown away because of stuff he would do. But then you also realize that, like, dude, that Purdue team was nothing, and Carson Edwards took them to, what they reached, Elite Eight.
Elite Eight. I think
the Elite Eight, and they were in the contenders in the conference, and that's his value could become like glaringly clear, like a month into next year.
Yeah, there was no one to take those shots from him. I mean, that was the problem. That was the whole problem with that team. And yeah, he had bad games, but it's not like someone else was there that should have been using possessions or should have been doing this or that. Like, they had to build their team that way, and they made it a pretty long way. I don't know. It's going to be a solid team. I think it should make the NCAA tournament, but I don't see them as a team that I would look to as like the most likely to contend at the top of the league.
How good can Nojel Eastern be?
I think he's a guy that you need shooters around. So how good Nojel Eastern is depends on if Aaron Wheeler and Eric Hunter have a big breakout year this year, I would say. I don't think Nojel Eastern can be a guy who goes and gets you 16 points a game and leads you in scoring. Like, I don't think that's where he's best. I mean, maybe, but man, do you think he's like that sort of potential? He can't shoot.
Oh, I know. I agree with you. Like, Purdue is a very interesting example of an off-season thing that I love to do when looking at teams' rosters is get to 72 points. And doing that with Purdue is really difficult. Really, really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wheeler. I loved Aaron Wheeler last year. I think he'll be a breakout sophomore. I mean, you have 2-3 guys that could be breakout sophomores in Wheeler, Trevion Williams, and Eric Hunter. So like, there's talent on the roster. I just don't know how it all fits. Next up,
Jihad Proctor.
I mean, he's going to get you buckets. He's going to have to.
Made 53s each of the last 2 years. They probably need him to make like 60. Which that's a big ask going from High Point to Purdue. But All right, so we're both saying down on Purdue.
Both saying down on Purdue. Next up is Maryland. Torvik has them picked 11th in the Big Ten. Or no, 11th in the country, 3rd in the Big Ten currently. And they got some really good news that Anthony Cowan was coming back to school. Which
I thought you meant
changed.
they got really good news that they got an upgrade on their coaching staff.
Oh, that's also true.
DeAndre
a lot of
Haynes
improvements in the backcourt coming in.
Heading to College Park. Just as a guy who went from thinking that he had a really great job and a really great professional position to being unemployed in a span of 24 hours, it was very good. Everyone who's dealt with Dre will tell you that he's a pretty good dude, and was very glad to see him land on his feet.
And it did not take him long to land either. I mean, and to land in another Big Ten job that quick at that time in the year says something. It's certainly a good situation there, I think.
Yes.
And they've got a good roster this year. You look at it like, if Cowan wasn't coming back, this team would kind of be all over the map in a sense, right? Like, you'd have a lot of talented pieces with no point guard. Instead, you go to have a senior point guard who's kind of been, I feel like he's never reached that star potential, but at the same time, senior point guards don't grow on trees, and that is a really nice asset to have, and everything will kind of fit together around him, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think a big part of this will be if Cowan also takes some significant steps forward as a player, I think. I've never been a huge Anthony Cowan guy, but the tools are there.
They bring in 4 top 150 freshmen. Ayala and Wiggins both shot the lights out as freshmen. They should be better. Jalen Smith will make a sophomore leap, can not have to play the 4 all the time, probably plays more 5. I mean, everything lines up for this team to be really, really good except one thing. Mark Turgeon. I mean, that's just the thing, right? I mean, Maryland has never really exceeded expectations. And this is a year they're going to have him. I think they have the talent on paper to be a top 10 team in the country.
No, I definitely think that they do. I think there's guys that could get pretty significantly better. A guy like Aaron Wiggins, I think, could make a pretty solid jump forward and become maybe a little bit more of a commodity than he is. I don't know. I've never been one to trash Turge as much as everyone else. He has won a lot of games.
I've defended him before, but I can't buy in. That's the only reason that this team, you don't look at him and say, oh, they should compete at the top of they have all this talent on paper.
I know, but they have won 12 or more league games in 4 of the last 5 years.
I agree. I said all this on the pod last year. I was defending them, and I can't get there now. Running out of steam on
because of last year. Like, they weren't supposed to be that good last year. They were what they were. They went 23-11, 13-7 in the league. They went to the second round of the tournament. I bet if you took the roster at the beginning of last year.
So I guess I would say that they'll probably go something like that again. I don't know that they're gonna be.
I think they'll be better than that.
Better than 13-7 in the league.
Well, 13-7 is pretty good. I would say probably. Yeah, I'd put them at 14-6 when going in, but
my hesitation is that I don't think that they're going to go and really compete with Michigan State, or I wouldn't think that they would be the team that I would think could upset them to win the league.
No, I don't think anyone's going to upset them. I think they could.
Well,
they could possibly beat them.
Pick a team
in a game.
Well, yeah, they could beat them in a game. Sure. Yeah, anyone can be. I'm saying
unless it's in Lansing, because my God, Maryland just. They need to not even take that flight anymore.
I'm saying that they're more likely to be sort of a team that finishes 3rd or 4th, is really good, gets a 4 seed in the tournament. If I had to pick another team that could compete with Michigan State at the top, they might have a lower floor than Maryland.
Right.
But I don't know, but a higher ceiling. Does that make sense?
It does. I also think that I'm a big believer that if you go to the NCAA tournament every year,
I completely agree with this.
eventually you're going to have a run, or you'll get good breaks in the bracket or something like that. And Maryland is due, so and suddenly that's going to change the narrative on Turgeon, and he'll get an extension, and all the fans there will lose their minds. But yeah, I do think
So
that
you're saying this is the year for him?
maybe.
All right. He's got the roster. I mean,
Totally.
you look at the other rosters in the league, and they're not quite on that level. I mean, there's a lot of talent and proven pieces that are very good.
And fun fact, among the freshmen coming into Maryland is Hakeem Hart, previously committed to Phil Martelli and the St. Joe's Hawks.
There you go.
How about that? Big jump from him. Went
Also,
from going to St. Joe's next year to going to Maryland.
The lowest rated recruit in the class.
Woo. Yeah, right. Whatever. Okay, so I'm going to say higher. I think I'm probably going to pick Maryland second in the league.
Okay. I would say second, third sounds right.
Fair. Number 4 on Bartorvik's projections is Ohio State, which I find to be a very interesting team next year.
I must be looking at an old list. I was ready to talk about another team.
Get it together over there.
All right, Ohio State.
You got me correcting you on metric lists? Can't have that. It's very off-brand.
I have a dated copy. There must be some roster movement going on here. Ohio State. You can go first here. You said something. They're interesting.
I do think they're interesting. I like some of the pieces. There's a lot going on with this group, and getting Caleb Wesson back, I wondered if he was going to make a big mistake and end up going. But
we don't know where he'd be going, but going somewhere.
Exactly. But Caleb Wesson as a junior in the Big Ten is going to be an issue. He's going to get a lot of buckets this year. I like their makeup overall.
How good can you be with Caleb Wesson as your best player?
What's wrong with Caleb Wesson?
Fouls too much.
Yeah.
Emotionally immature.
Okay.
They're
not asking him to be the student body president.
Can you be a great team when you're built around a big man?
Well, I don't know how much are they going to be built. Or I don't know if they're built around him as much as he's just the best player, or the most productive player. But it's not like they don't have dudes around him.
I agree. I feel like he'll be their most productive player, yet also somehow hold them back this year. It's my theory. It sounds counterintuitive.
I don't know about that. You're painting him as very Nick Wardish.
Similar
to me.
They're a similar kind of player that does not really fit in the modern game, and I don't know that you would play the same way if you're Ohio. Can you build two ways to play and play another way when he's on the bench, or for the second half of each half when he's
year.
What?
Wesson did make 26 threes last year. He's not put his big ass on the block and just hope for putbacks and layups.
How many fouls did he commit per 40 minutes? I'm going to have to pull it up.
You have to improve fouling. I'm just saying, he's hyper productive. And as a college big man, not a lot of teams can defend him.
I agree with that. I'm interested.
And then you put him with Andre Wesson and Walker, Jallo. I like DJ Carton's coming in. I'll be curious to see what his role is. They're not just feed him the ball. They have talent around him, and then they got a guy who can just fill it up. That's a pretty good situation to be in.
Yeah, the backcourt will be really interesting. DJ Carton coming in as a 5-star point guard, but CJ Walker transferred from Florida State, had a sit-out year. Those two guys are really solid, and they'll probably be an upgrade over CJ Jackson experiment. That'll be nice to not have to really watch anymore. But they bring in all these new pieces. Alonzo Gaffney's a top 50 kid. EJ Little's a top 50 kid. This is really the first year, though, that Chris Holtmann will kind of have expectations, though.
Mm-hmm.
First year was kind of he completely exceeded expectations with Bates Diop. Last year was sort of never got off the ground, and it was sort of like wait till this year. Now I think a year ago you would have said this is the year that Ohio State should contend for the league. I don't know if it's that good of a roster.
I think they would contend for the league in a normal year. But it's not Ohio State's fault that Michigan State is potentially the number 1 ranked team in the country, right?
Sure. Do you think they have a better roster than Maryland?
I'm going to probably project Ohio State 3rd.
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I like Holtmann a lot more than Turgeon
this is true.
coaching the team.
Absolutely. But I like Ohio State's experience. I like they're tough. The guy like Andre Wesson is a tough dude. Kyle Young is a tough dude. Like they've got. I like their makeup. I'll be curious to see what our boy Dwayne Washington from Grand Rapids does next year. He needs to like dial his game from an 11 down to about an 8, and just maybe holster those pistols every once in a while. But
I'm curious. Andre Wesson is a really good guy to have on an average team.
A good guy to have on an average team.
Like, he's a guy that you need. He's a guy that I don't think fits on, like, a really good team. He's sort of the glue guy, right? He played his ass off. He had to play center all of last year.
Yeah. No, I think he's the perfect piece for a good team.
There's so many pieces, and you have these 5-star top 50 kids coming in. Like, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of balance those roster spots, right? Like, if there's more talented younger players, are they playing? Or are you sticking with kind of like Kyle Young? Like, is he gonna? I don't know what his ceiling as a player is, but he's also probably more reliable. They have a lot of pieces to juggle with. They should be a really deep team, though.
Andre Wesson reminds me of a guy named Dwayne Anderson, who played on Nova's 2009 Final Four team. That team was awesome. Scotty Reynolds, Dante Cunningham, they had a bunch of dudes. But then like Dwayne Anderson was just this 6'6" wing who just would run through walls for loose balls and do all that stuff. And he was like the difference in why that team actually went to the Final Four, because he made just plays that never showed up. I think that's the type of dude Andre Wesson is.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll take it. I still would like to see Caleb Wesson with Andre Wesson's motor, but we might never get to that point.
Big off season for Caleb Wesson. I'm going to say, personally, higher for Ohio State than 4, because I'm picking them 3rd.
Yeah, we're just moving everyone up into a Purdue spot here, which is up a level with each one here. But yeah, I think
the next one is an interesting one.
No, I'm going with 4th.
Okay.
With Ohio State.
Okay.
Next one, we're getting into the good stuff.
Which ranking are you looking at? The actual right?
I'm looking at the right one now.
Okay.
We're getting into Brad Underwood in Illinois.
That's right, at the 5 spot per Bartorvik.
I'm going all in on Illinois one more time, and after this, I'm done. I think they're going to be really good. And if they're not, they just got to try something else. Like if this isn't the year, I don't know what is.
True. That is well
right.
said. That is well said. Yes.
You got Ao and Trent Frazier, great backcourt, 2 guards that can get buckets. Desumu's going to be one of the best pro prospects in the league, and you're getting him back for a sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
You have Georgie in the post.
Love Georgie.
Love him. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's productive. He fits into what they want to do. Like, that's a really, really good core. I guess my only question would be, who is that one sort of like...
Did you mention Trent You mentioned Trent Frazier, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Trent Frazier and Desumu.
Okay.
I don't know that they have a kind of go-to wing, kind of like a reliable shooter scorer. That's sort of the question there.
Yeah,
for me.
I'll be curious to see like if Tavian Jones was kind of a guy that was weird to me last year. He had that one. Didn't he have that one game?
Yep. I think everyone in Illinois had that one game last year.
Right? Yeah.
They also had a lot of games that you'd never want to remember.
Was his was in that the Big Ten game that they played in New York, I think.
Mhm.
And
I believe that's right.
And he was out there bombing threes, and I'm like, man, this is really the exact piece that Illinois is missing. If this guy can do this, they're in great shape. And then he ended up getting DNPs down the stretch last year.
He had 18 points against Maryland in the Garden.
And they won.
Yep. Then he had 10 points the next game. Never played 20 minutes again, or scored double figures until the last game of the year.
Yeah. So can he be that guy? I mean, he's 6'7", and he can play. When it looks, or at least he looks like he can play. I have no idea what he is, but you're right. All the pieces are interesting. Kipper Nichols also back as a senior.
Yeah, he's also had flashes, but he only shot 22% from three last year, and sort of basically everyone on that team outside of the big three kind of had a good game here or there, but never really clicked.
The piece I'm most interested in on this team is Kofi Cockburn, 6'10" freshman. Have you ever seen him in person?
I have not.
Oh my God, he will be the most intimidating player in the league. People are going to see this kid and just fall out of their chairs. He is an absolute monster. He's got to be up there close to. He's listed here at 6'10". I would guess he has to be 280 pounds, 275 pounds, something like that. And he ain't Caleb Wesson. He is rock solid. So he had a big time recruitment. He was a big get for Underwood. I think, was he ever committed to Georgetown? For some reason in my head, I thought that he was going to Georgetown, and then he just randomly ended up at Illinois. I say randomly with a wink and a nod, but so this I agree with you. I think the roster's fascinating, but fifth place sounds about right to me.
Oh, I'm going up. I think better than fifth place. I think they're a team that. There's always a team that kind of puts everything together and makes a leap. They seem like by far the best bet. They return a lot of pieces. I think Brad Underwood's a really, really, really good offensive coach. He just hasn't had really any offensive talent. I just worry about the shooting. But if they can find some shooting, this team's going to be really fun, and I'm in.
That'd be quite a jump, man. They did go 7-13 with a very similar roster last year.
Someone's got to make a jump.
That's a leap. That's not a jump.
To top four? Well,
yeah.
All right. I got them finishing ahead of Ohio State.
Interesting. That would be that'd make some waves. I'll put it this way. I'm all for it because the league is better if Illinois is good.
Yeah, Illinois deserves to be good.
Yeah,
they've had a rough go here. They have.
I totally agree. Okay, I'm holding pat, and I think that's still pretty damn good for Illinois. Would Underwood take a fifth place finish today if you gave it to him? If you gave him 23 wins and a fifth place finish in the Big Ten, would he take that today?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, you're going to say a 7 seed with that, 6 or 7 seed? Yes, I think absolutely take that.
Because he gets an extension?
that's a part of it.
With some guaranteed money?
Doesn't hurt.
All right. Sixth place. Oh, boy. I can already... Folks, his eyes have rolled. I'm surprised you're still able to stay in your chair. Penn State at the 6th spot. Per Bartorvik. Your thoughts?
So I'm sticking with a golf analogy here. Okay. You know when you have a golfer who barely makes the cut?
Yeah.
And then is completely out of contention on Sunday, and then they go super low and end up in the top 10?
Oh, yeah.
This is Penn State. They played all their games. They had no stakes. They won all those games at the end of the year, but they weren't ever playing for anything. I'm I mean, Torvik has them projected top 20 next year. I'm selling all that. I'm not buying it.
Okay.
Down on Penn State.
Wet blanket. The big returning pieces are Lamar Stevens, Mike Watkins, Miles Dredd. And
brought in
and then bringing in Curtis Jones.
Yeah, they got him this week. Oklahoma State grad transfer who started his career at Indiana, I believe.
Who went 38 for 117 on threes last year, so he'll fit in nicely.
Man.
I don't know. I mean,
they're going to play hard.
They will play hard.
They're going to be not very good on offense.
Right. Yeah, I think Miles Dredd needs to be, if they have, we know what the other pieces are, right? I think if this team is going to be anywhere close to what some people are dreaming, apparently that it might be, to me, Miles Dredd has to be a guy that come next February, people know his name. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, are they on TV enough for that to happen?
Damn, this is cold.
Can Lamar Stevens become an efficient player? I guess here's how Lamar Stevens could become great. He needs to be able to make threes. He shot 22% from three last year.
Yeah.
He also only shot 46% on twos because he takes so many mid-range shots.
Mm-hmm.
And he attempted over 550 shots last year. So I just
550 shots. My God. Well, here's the thing, though. This is always the Penn State conundrum, right? When you get one guy who's a legit high-level Big Ten talent, and there aren't the pieces around him, and he has to do everything, and that's what you get. That's why I'm saying, Miles Dredd needs to be a legit number two. This Curtis Jones
losing Steer Bolton hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. Curtis Jones needs to be someone who can play, and then Mike Watkins needs to stay on the floor and be even if he could be close to what his potential is. My God, right?
Yeah, so I would say that they are a team that finishes sub 500 but makes the NIT.
Whoa! So you're
they're not an NCAA tournament team. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree with that. I would, from this projection of being sixth in the league. Yes, I would. I'll take the under if that's the right way of wording it. I mean, when was that? When the hell was the last time Penn State finished sixth?
When was the last time they finished above 500 in the Big Ten?
Touche.
Let's look. You're over here. 500 2
Pat
years
Chambers,
ago.
2 years ago, man. That year that they nearly could have, should have, would have made the tournament. You're going to have to go way, way back here, bud.
DeChellis made the tournament in 2011 at 9-9. And then DeChellis finished 10-8 in 2009.
But they still didn't finish sixth in the league.
Oh, sixth. I'm not looking for sixth in the league. I was looking for above 500. They finished tied for
sixth in the league in 2009. They finished sixth.
They finished tied for fourth.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Impressive. The glory days. All right. Let's get back to the list here. Next up, in number 7, as Michigan fans continue to wait to hear their names called, at number 7 is Wisconsin. I'm not feeling this one. I'm going to tell you that right now.
You basically have all the pieces who weren't quite good enough around Ethan Happ without Ethan Happ.
Yes.
I mean, what's the go-to here? You haven't ever seen these guys play without Happ, and now it's just going to be what exactly? You know what I mean? It's so hard to tell what to happen when you have such a high usage dominant player like that. I don't even know really.
Yeah, the only chance I could see Wisconsin being an NCAA tournament team is if some guy just comes out of completely nowhere and is like a monster. Like if that's Kobe King or Aleem Ford or someone like that, where you're just like, whoa, did not see that coming, right? Almost like a Bates Diop, maybe not that good, the player of the year, but you know what I mean. And if Demetric Trice
needs to go full Travis Trice NCAA tournament mode,
100%, and
all year,
and then if Reavers is like a legit all league guy.
I'm into Reavers as a breakout guy.
I know you love Reavers,
but I'm not going to say that he's going to carry this whole team.
No, I can't. I mean, he's not like he doesn't really have like the skill set to be someone that you could play through like that.
Who do you play through on this team? Demetric Trice, Brad Davison.
Can I pass on the question?
You can pass. This
what they needed to do was go find themselves a Hauser boy and get some hardship waivers. What they needed, but
they did not.
They did not. So I don't like the makeup of the team. I don't think they're going to be very good. And I think this is the year where Greg Gard's coaching tenure starts to maybe come into question, would be my projection.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Early hot seat take here.
Heads up.
He's been to the NCAA tournament 3 of 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Pair of Sweet 16.
I think he got an extension last year.
I believe that sounds right.
But well, I'm saying I think Wisconsin could finish 10th or 11th in the league. And it's going to be very strange to see Wisconsin in the standings in that position. And
it's going to be extra miserable to watch Wisconsin play next year.
Oh, my God. I don't know if I'm making that trip.
They're still going to be a good defensive team. They're just going to be mind-numbingly boring on offense, I would say.
Yeah. And then all the people who complained about everything that Ethan Happ did will be like, oh, wait a second. This team won 14 games in the Big Ten last year. Ethan Happ was probably pretty good. So, yeah, that'll be fun to watch unfold. All right, why don't you introduce the next one?
Next up, we got Michigan. And of note, I would say, is they're 34th in Torvik, which is 13 spots behind Wisconsin at 21. So you have 7 Big Ten teams in the top 21, and then you drop 13 spots to Michigan. So that's a pretty big drop-off, and you think about a couple months ago, Michigan was number 1, I think, in Torvik when they had all their pieces coming back. So that changes quickly. Are you going buy or sell on Michigan at 8th place, are we at? Yeah.
This seems about right to me. At 8. It's so hard because I feel like there's going to be something added at some point, right? I would imagine. But, you want to play the 72-point game?
It's a tough ad here.
Get me to 72, Dylan.
It's a tough ad. You need someone to be able. I mean, if you look at the Torvik projections, which they're probably pretty loose considering he's just running a computer algorithm for every player in college basketball.
Right.
But are you getting out the calculator there?
I am getting it out.
The number 4 scorer that he has is Cole Bajema, which really speaks to the fact that there are 3 proven players on this roster, and then you're sort of just guessing with the rest, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, people, when they play, they score points. So someone's going to play those minutes and you don't really know who it is. You just need to find someone that can shoot to stick in between those 3. And I don't know who that is on the roster. It's easy to say, oh, well, if Bajema's ready to play and Brandon Johns has a breakout year and Colin Castleton is really good, all of a sudden Michigan's a really good team.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of ifs, essentially.
That's beyond Xavier Simpson and John Teskey. I think Michigan is one big if.
And Isaiah Livers.
Well, here's the thing. I think there's a chance Isaiah Livers could take a big step forward next year. what's there, and he's going to work his ass off this offseason on dribbling the ball and trying to become a more complete offensive player. And
really hitting the workout video circuit hard with these Michael Lancaster workouts. Have you seen those?
No, I've not.
He's like a famous NBA trainer.
Oh, okay.
He's got him doing all this crazy stuff.
I mean, I think his ability to defend and his athleticism and his smarts, like he does check some boxes of being a big time player. And I mean, like, I've been asked about NBA scouts know who Isaiah Livers is. And if he's an NBA player, like if he's someone who, if like that's an actual conversation about, like you're going to find out this year, right? I'm still kind of curious to see how he does at the 3. If they go all in with him on the 3 and just let that be the spot, right? My 2 biggest questions are Livers and Brandon Johns. And I think both of those have ifs attached to them.
I would say, if you look at this roster right now, Isaiah Livers is probably odds-on favorite to be the leading scorer.
That's
fair. You agree with that?
Yes.
So I think he'll be like a 14, 15 point per game guy just because of who else there is on the roster and how Simpson and Teskey play. They're not going to put up big scoring numbers.
But how good Michigan is depends on how Livers gets to 15, 16 points a game, if that makes sense.
You mean if he needs 20 shots or 12?
Right, if he's a volume shooter and it's a lot of threes, right? Like, okay, that's going to tell you where the season goes. But if he's scoring an efficient 15 points a game and scoring in a variety of ways, now it's different.
What's weird about Livers is just what a small part of his game is he's created himself at this point in his career, right? He almost always plays with other people, and that works next to Simpson, but you're going to need someone to be that guy who creates his own offense, and that's going to be really the fascinating part to see if Livers can do that and at what level.
Sure.
He is a better shooter than Charles Matthews. So, like, you think about replacing those minutes, and Michigan should get a little offensive boost there. The problem is that you're losing Brasdeikis at the 4, which was kind of a really, really efficient possession ender, right? Like, he was a great finisher. He could play off the catch, all that stuff. I don't know if you can just bank on Brandon Johns giving you that at this point.
No. But everyone knows what his potential is.
Yep. And it's just going to, I mean, that's sort of the biggest swing, right? Because I think you can survive with Brooks and Bajema playing the 2 if Johns is a legit 30-minute-a-game guy who can stick. He didn't have to score a lot, but just give you solid minutes and be a contributor.
Yeah. Then the other guy's Castleton. I have been high on Castleton. I'm not sure what that means for him this year, obviously being behind Teskey, but he's going to play. He's going to see. If I give him 11 minutes a game, over under?
Sounds about right.
Okay.
I don't know. Can you play him next to Teskey?
Big question. I think they're going to try.
I mean, I think
it's
that's
a better.
You don't know what they're going to run.
Like, you have to figure out the minutes, right, that are going to happen at those positions. I'd be more comfortable with Castleton splitting time in workouts at the 4 and the 5 than even bothering with the Brandon Johns playing 5 thing again.
Well, Johns can't play 5. Castleton and Teskey will play all the minutes at the 5 this year.
I know. I'm talking about, like, last year. I continue to contend that last year Johns working at the 5 was an enormous waste of time that ended up costing him in the end.
So you're saying if Johns would have played the 4, he would have been more ready to play?
I think he could have given you something.
Okay. I guess I'll buy that. It'll be interesting. I think Michigan needs to add at least one more piece who can play next year, even if it's someone in a more limited role.
Someone who shoots the ball. They have to have someone else who can shoot the ball.
And you don't need him to do a lot else the way the roster is built, because the ball's going to be in Xavier Simpson's hands. You just need people around him that can shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a big if. And right now, I would say 8th probably sounds about right, like right on that 500 edge. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many questions.
If Juwan Howard can coach or not. How's that for an if?
That is an if.
Yeah. All right, so we're both going to stick with them at 8?
I think that sounds about right.
Very good. All right. Next up at 9, ahead of Indiana, let's note, is Rutgers.
Rutgers ahead of Indiana despite getting Omoruyi just plucked from the roster in the middle of June. Oregon is literally building an entire team off of other people's rosters.
100%. Recruiting
they plucked
off rosters.
Anthony Mathis. They plucked Omoruyi. I mean, come on. This is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, like, someone at some point needs, like, someone, and the media can do it all they want, but, like, someone needs to call out. A coach needs to call out this stuff when it happens.
Yeah, it's crazy when you have a transfer happen and they're like visiting and not, like, it's just done when it happens, right? Yeah. It's one thing to transfer for whatever reason, but you can obviously tell when something's been in the works all along, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is. Do we still think Rutgers is a top 50 team?
No. No, I don't. Do you?
No. I mean, they're trending in the right direction. I don't see it without. I mean, they have some good pieces. Like Baker, Mathis, Harper is a good trio.
Yeah. If the kid from Texas is good and the kid from Stony Brook is good, like, I have no idea if those guys can play at all, right? So the only way that I see, like, this roster being a top 50 roster is if those guys are actually something significant.
The Texas kid is Jacob Young.
Yeah.
Is he good at Texas?
The kid from Stony Brook is Akwazi Yaboa. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. But he made 65 threes. Shot over 200 of them, but he made 65 at Stony Brook. So,
yeah,
could be an interesting piece.
These guys are really. Jacob Young he's a shooter who can't shoot. He's attempts almost 2/3 of his shots from 3, but he's 27% for his career. Pretty good fit at Rutgers, I would say.
What about that Peter Kiss?
Some of those young guys look solid.
Peter Kiss needs to go full heel in the league. I loved his act at Michigan State. Just talking mad shit all over the place at East Lansing. It was tremendous. More Peter Kiss. All right.
So here's the only problem with putting Rutgers down. Have you seen the teams below them in the standings?
Yeah, Indiana and Iowa are going to finish ahead of them.
All right, that's fair. I'll give you that. All right, so we're pushing Rutgers down. We got Indiana up next. 57th overall.
Your boys. What do you got?
Completely done with Indiana. This team couldn't get it done last year with Romeo Langford and Juwan Morgan. I don't think they're going to get it done with Devontae Green and Justin Smith. They were a bad shooting team last year. I don't know how they're going to be better. They'll be better in the front court. They'll have Trace Jackson Davis, top 30 kid, and Joey Brunk, who's a grad transfer from Butler with 2 years to play. Those are good. They're going to be much better on the interior. I guess Jerome Hunter's the X factor.
He's been out. 100% the X factor.
Still out. It's very unclear when he'll be back, if he'll be back. If the guy I thought he was as a high school player, I would say he could be he could be the go-to guy on this team.
Totally.
He hasn't played basketball. I mean, I don't know. What do you make of Devontae Green's going to go around firing up off the dribble threes? I just don't know what the best case is for this roster. Is there some breakout guy that you see on there?
No. I don't. Like, it's the same thing. They can't shoot. They don't have a point guard I trust yet. It's what Indiana has been. What's the ceiling for this team?
Dayton.
Okay. All right. I was going to say 500 in the league. Dayton.
So, probably Dayton.
Dayton.
Right?
There you go.
I mean,
great minds think alike, just very differently.
Archie Miller's 2 years here at Indiana finished 92nd in adjusted offense and 82nd. I don't really see this team improving on those numbers, do you?
No, I don't.
And I'm not. I don't know. I'm not falling for Indiana. I'm staying as far away from Indiana as possible after last year. I can't be bamboozled.
What do you think of Rob Finney?
Finney?
Finney.
I can't say his name right, but
I mean,
you look for freshman to sophomore guys as breakouts, so he fits in that regard.
That's the thing. When you talk about the breakout thing, like I'm hunting here.
If you're hunting, he's where you're gonna land every time. I'm not gonna go for Justin Smith or Al Durham after they had pretty disappointing sophomore years, right? Like they kind of. I mean, it happens, but I don't see it. And Finney is the guy you would think, but he's also sort of a guy who can be really good in his role. I don't know if he's going to be a go-to scorer, right?
Yeah, he's just not. I just don't. Watching him play, nothing strikes me about him as a scorer in any way.
No.
He did go 1 for 8 on twos in the season-ending NIT loss to Wichita State. All right. Indiana.
Why you got to do him like that, man?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe I'd still maybe bump them up a little bit. They do seem a little low here. Like I don't see them going 5-15 or anything, right?
They finished 52nd in KenPom last year. So this is about the same spot, and they lose a pro and an all Big Ten senior.
Oh, not good. They do have 2 open scholarships, though, so maybe they do add a piece somewhere. But otherwise, I think this is going to be the 4th straight year that Indiana is not in the NCAA tournament. So, and then things will get very interesting for your boy. So, all right, moving on. Iowa, which, am I crazy or is this too low? Like, way too low, potentially.
I guess it depends on Jordan Bohannon.
Yeah.
And his health.
Yeah.
It sounds like he could be out for the year, which would pretty much screw them over. I don't know if that's incorporated into their projections over here. It seems like it might be because he hasn't been playing 51% of minutes, which he would obviously play more than that. So I wonder if he's just kind of like knocking him down in half or something. I feel like this year could kind of be a whole waste for Iowa if he doesn't play because you have a lot of good pieces, right? Wieskamp, I love his game.
Yeah.
I think he can be a star. Luka Garza's really good in the post, and he'll probably have a chance to play more minutes now with Tyler Cook gone. But if Bohannon's out, it's hard to he was so key to what they did in terms of late clock offense and all that. I don't know.
Yeah. There's and I mean the defense is the defense. Losing Isaiah Moss was really a kick in the ass that they did not need.
Yeah, and Isaiah Moss wasn't great, but man, he's really solid. Like he's
just a guy. He's a guy. You need guys. Yes. Yeah, I mean it'll hinge on Bohannon, but I mean this thing has them projected at what number are we even on? We are low. We are in the depths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th in the league.
They brought in Bakari Evelyn, who used to be at Nebraska and then transferred somewhere smaller and now grad transferred. But a lot of Big Ten boomerang grad transfers.
Yeah. And more McCaffrey. More of it.
And another McCaffrey. I think the better McCaffrey.
Uh-huh.
But I guess Connor would probably end up playing a lot of point guard if Bohannon's out.
Yeah.
And the fact that they would bring in Evelyn as a grad transfer makes me think there might be a good chance that Bohannon's out. If he's going to come in kind of as a backup point guard.
Right.
Not great. A lot of size, but like they're not going to be good on defense. They're never good on defense.
Nope.
They're the only team in the Big Ten projected worse than 84th in adjusted defensive efficiency, and they're at 154. So they're just not even in the same ballpark. I mean, it's just typical Iowa without the guy who made Iowa so exciting and fun with all his crazy late shots.
Yeah. All right. I'm still going to pick them over 11th. What about you?
Yeah, because we're pushing Rutgers down.
Yeah. At 12 is Fred Hoiberg and the Fighting Huskers of Nebraska. Not a lot there. Not a lot of this roster is
11 departures.
Get me to 72.
Arrivals. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, the whole thing is just complete reboot.
Dude, I'm looking at this. I don't know who like any of these people.
JUCO, grad transfer, grad transfer, JUCO, international. I mean, decommit. There's just like. Luckily, though, did you see their schedule come out today? You're probably walking the fairways over there, but
no, I did not look at Nebraska's schedule today.
They have a non-conference schedule to match their roster. It's one of the worst I think I've ever seen. But
good.
They're gonna need it.
So, like, for the folks listening at home, the departures: Isaiah Robbie, Isaac Copeland, James Palmer, Thomas Allen, Glenn Watson Jr., Tanner Borchardt, Johnny Trueblood. Just pour one out for Johnny Trueblood. Nana Atkinson, Brady Hyman, Amir Harris, and Carrington Davis. Those are just the players that left that are out of the program this offseason.
They have two guys coming back, though.
How about that?
The one guy is a transfer, Burke. I think he'll probably be a guy. Like, he was a sit-out transfer, so he was actually
Burke
there. But, man, not a lot there.
Not a lot there. Deshaun Burke, where was he at? Robert Morris. Oh, yeah, I remember this kid. Made 44 threes.
JUCO guy is projected as their leading scorer. Got like Hanif Cheatham used to be at Marquette and then went to FGCU. I think he's had like chronic shoulder issues throughout his career. I don't know. Not a lot there.
No. I'm going to actually...
It's easy to go down. I would say go down. I'm taking Minnesota over them.
Yeah. Okay. Agreed. Speaking of Minnesota, they're at 13th on these projections. Kind of a big shift with Amir Coffey gone, Jordan Murphy gone, Isaiah Washington gone, Dupree McBriar gone.
Coffey hurt. That one was at the deadline.
Yeah.
Everyone was looking at it as 50-50.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Do you think he made the right decision?
Yes.
Me too.
You think he's going to... I mean, I don't know what he's going to... I think he's kind of he's not an amazing prospect, but I don't know what he's going to accomplish coming back into the year.
I don't know what he would do for a bad Minnesota team next year, right?
Mm-hmm. I think...
They weren't going to be good with or without him.
No, and I mean, they could have been decent. Marcus Carr, Pitt transfer, comes in at point guard. Could be solid.
Mm-hmm. Gabe
Kalsher, legit shooter. Like, at least they have some dudes who I'm convinced are Big Ten players, right? Like, that's why I'm taking them over Nebraska, where it's literally just like a JUCO showcase team. So they have, like, some pieces here.
I do like Oturu,
Eric Curry. Those are legit Big Ten bigs, right? I mean, I don't know who anyone on the bottom half of. I mean, it falls off a bit. They're not going to be a deep team, but
Don't you like Kalsher?
Yeah, he can shoot it.
Yeah, man.
And
Big
you have a
time
point
shooter.
guard who can get him the ball.
Made over 83s last year. That's a big number.
You don't have Isaiah Washington on the roster.
That
That's
helps.
a win.
Yep.
So, I mean, if Coffee came back, I think this is a team that makes a tournament. Now,
Oh man, you're talking me into my Gophers. I'm gonna end up. I'm gonna have them at 6th in the league by the end of this conversation.
yeah, I think they're like you look at Rutgers, Indiana, Iowa, Minnesota. I think that's a tier in the Big Ten.
Sure.
Those are teams I can't really sort out, but I think you would put Nebraska and Northwestern way below all of those teams.
Nebraska, I would put them in the MAC. Or not Nebraska, Northwestern. Actually, they can take Nebraska with them though too.
They can both go.
This Northwestern team though. What do you think?
Projected 300th in adjusted offensive efficiency. I
Ouch.
used to think that somehow Bryant McIntosh graduating could make them better on offense. I was not correct. This
that
thing
was
is
a take right
this
there.
thing has been going downhill. Yikes.
Yeah,
the AJ Turner show.
The AJ Turner show is right. There ain't much else. Anthony Gaines needs to make a huge leap. Pete Nance needs to
Nance Miller Kopp could be good.
Yeah, Pete Nance needs to just be something.
Be something.
Yeah, this is gonna be rough sledding. What's your if I give them 4 wins in the league, over under? You got it. Where are you going?
How many did they win last year?
Few.
They won
4.
4 last year, and they lose Vic Law and Derek Pardon.
Yeah.
But I think I'll put it this way: they'll finish above Nebraska. I think they'll win 4 Big Ten games.
Okay.
Do they play Nebraska twice? That's a key factor in the math there.
Yeah. Shout out to Indiana for trying to make the tournament last year and losing to Northwestern. That was a tough one. All right.
Northwestern also beat Ohio State
They did.
last year.
But I wanted to take
Illinois. Two teams that we're saying are going to be.
I wanted to take a shot at Indiana. I don't really care about Ohio State.
All right. All right.
All right. Anything else?
No, I think
we just talked about Big Ten basketball for an hour in June, so that's pretty
sorry.
good.
We can't all cover golf, man.
Hey, I'm actually thinking at some point I will compare each conference team and come up with their PGA Tour player avatar.
You got any preview here? A couple ready to go.
Man, that's tough. Like Maryland is Ricky Fowler.
That's good. That's all the preview we need.
Okay.
Are these the things you think about while you spend all day on the golf course?
I do think of hoops, and I find myself starting basketball conversations at an alarming rate at these golf tournaments, and I'm pretty sure they're going to ask me to leave soon. So,
and you're not talking about the Warriors. You're talking college basketball.
100%.
One thing no one cares about.
100%. Yes. So, all right. Do any hot takes on the ACC Big Ten matchups?
Michigan did not get an easy draw for a team that's going to be figuring a lot out in December. We're going to know a lot about Michigan by mid-December, that's for sure, between Atlantis and a trip to Louisville. And Michigan State Duke, let's
go. It is bullshit, though, that they're playing on the same night.
They should really make these schedules for beat writers that cover 2 teams at one time. I mean, why don't they think of you there? They're not thinking about the moving screen.
They had previously. All the other years, they were on different dates, and I was able to go to both of them. But this year, No offense to Michigan, but I'll probably be at Michigan State, Duke. So
Probably riding with Michigan State the whole non-conference.
We'll see. I haven't overlaid the schedules yet. Is there a lot of same day stuff?
Aren't they going to Maui?
I am doing Maui with Michigan State. We'll have Brian Hamilton in Atlantis with Michigan. I actually feel like the field and the storylines in Atlantis are more interesting.
Yep, and Maui's in Maui.
But Maui's in Maui, so I'm going to Maui.
It's always the right choice.
All right, folks. Well, that'll do it for this week. I'm thinking our next one, maybe we do a mailbag episode.
Ooh, that sounds good.
We just gather a bunch of your questions. So hit me on Twitter or hit Dylan on Twitter and make sure you respond when we put out the call for questions. Other than that, to support this podcast, subscribe to umhoops.com and subscribe to The Athletic. That's, if you like what we do here, that's the best way to support it. So we appreciate you listening, and be sure to tip your bartenders and your servers.